Hi guys, hope you're well. So it's the group therapy response video today. The video has been up on the channel for a few days, so we've accumulated a few issues and problems and questions to get going on. So let's get cracking. So Molly Louisa says, any tips on how to motivate myself to get out of bed in the morning? Been struggling with getting up and leaving the house. I feel your sister. I think a lot of us feel you on that. This kind of depends on why you're struggling to get up. If it's because you're really tired and you don't know why you're tired, look at your sleeping patterns and whether you're getting to bed early enough, whether you're, getting enough vitamin D so you've got energy, or is there something that you're dreading about the day? And if there is, work out why you're dreading it and what you can do to kind of take that out of your day or make it less of a scary, horrible, nerve-wracking thing. And maybe if it's just a normal day and you're just feeling a bit lethargic and like you can't be asked to get up, maybe think of a way to motivate yourself a bit more. So maybe write everything you've got to do in a list for that day, and maybe say, if I get 4 of these things ticked, I'm going to treat myself to a hot chocolate. If I get 5 of these things done, I'm going to treat myself to, half an hour of watching something on Netflix. Do something like kind of give yourself, a goal, something to achieve, to tick off by the end of the day. So it gives you something to kind of reach for, to grasp for, and kind of keep you going to the end of the day. But if you're finding yourself like this every day, ask yourself why. I think it's important to work out why you're struggling and why you're not motivated. For some people, I know people with depression, for example, they struggle to feel motivated sometimes. Like I said earlier, if maybe it's a job that you're going to that makes you not want to get up in the morning, decide whether you want to stay in that job or whether there's something you can change about that environment or how you cope within that environment that will make the day easier to deal with, and something that you don't dread or don't look forward to, because it's not nice to get up and not want to face the day. So if there's anything you can change, try and kind of pinpoint what those things are. Anyone else, give your feedback below as well for Molly. Not a quick, oh no, that one's, thanks for the nice comment, Danny D. I'm not going to read that because I'll get embarrassed, but thank you. So next one's from 6LLEN. I never know how to say that, I'm sorry. You're not very good at coming up with questions, but I love if you could give some advice on how to motivate yourself and accomplish small goals. I'm about to graduate and I can't find the encouragement to try new experiences in the real world. So I guess the same thing, if we're talking about day-to-day basis, write a list, because there's a weird satisfaction about being able to tick things off, and you like end a day feeling like you've achieved something, even if each point is just a small thing, just the action of going, yep, done that, yep, done that. It feels good. It feels like you haven't wasted the day. And I want to say to anyone that's a new graduate or someone that's kind of going out into the real world, becoming an adult, you don't need to know what you want to do straight away. I know like you feel like at the end of your studies you should be straight away ready to, start your career and the career that you want to be in for the rest of your working life. But for many of us, that's not the case, and that's fine. If you're in a position where you've got a roof over your head and you don't have to worry about, bringing in a certain amount of money, use this time to do work experiences, apprenticeships, experiment with different sort of angles on maybe the career you're thinking about. If you're into interiors, for example, you could maybe gain experience at Elle Decoration. You could work with an interior or set stylist. You could work with an interior designer. You could contact TV shows that do this sort of work. You could create your own stuff at home in your studio, your home studio, things that people could buy as homewares. There's so many different little compartments of each industry that you could try. And then there's some of you that won't know what industry at all. And again, I just say, try a bit of everything till you find one that feels like a good fit, the one that gets you excited, that you feel like, yeah, this is the one. A lot of people I know went travelling after uni and they recommend it highly, because you've had a very kind of stressful and demanding few years, if you've studied hard, that is. So it's quite nice to then just go out into the world, explore, be independent, see different cultures, soak it all up. And I think when you're traveling, you gain clarity about what you want when you get back. You'll get an understanding about yourself, what really is important to you, and how you want to live your adult life when you're home, basically. So I think that's a good shout as well. So this question is from It's Really Real, and my question is, do you have any advice for gaining weight? Unable to have gluten or corn and seem to have some other sensitivities as well. This is extremely hard to put on and keep weight. I've actually had this trouble a lot in the past when doctors were putting me on all these really strict allergy diets. I would end up feeling a lot worse and a lot more ill because I was kind of wasting away. I was getting like near to 6 stone, which for my height was very underweight. So I understand this problem. For me, what I did was get some protein shakes, and these days they're even nicer than they were back when I was doing this. You can get all sorts of different flavours, and there are actually ones that accommodate different intolerances. So I believe you can get some if you've got an intolerance to gluten. You can get non-lactose, non-dairy ones. I just did a quick Google and plenty of things came up when I just Googled wanting to bulk up or wanting to gain weight or muscle without gluten, and there are lots of websites that give you information. They advise lots of different grains that are alternatives to corn, like buckwheat. I always ate a lot of potato, just mountains of mash, and that helped. And I think if you're not vegan as well, I think eggs are a good source for you, because obviously they've got a lot of things that are helpful for building and repairing cells, so that should help as well. But you really need to be consuming protein. So depending on your unique, intolerances and dietary preferences, just look up what protein is in it and then try and get a lot of that in your diet. I'm obviously not a nutritionist, so I'm only going on personal experience, but maybe you should speak to your doctor and ask them to put you in touch with it, a nutrition expert or a dietary type person. If you are underweight, you're really struggling to, put weight on or maintain a weight, then the doctor should really be looking out for you on that. So make sure you really push them and get them to help you out, because you deserve the help and that's what they're there for. I know it's not always the case, but we've got to kind of hassle them sometimes. Another one from Molly Louisa. Would love some advice on how to deal with anxiety and overthinking. I've got a bad habit of over-analysing everything I do. So, oh God, this is one of my worst things as well. I see that Elmbridge has given you some really lovely advice, which I really agree with. I think the key is, what I've realised is, even when I think about the worst case scenarios of everything I'm worrying about, when I realise that even they're not that bad, and even when the worst case scenario has happened to me in the past, I've gotten over it. So I've started to think that, what will be will be. I can only do my best. I can only hope other people will be doing their best. I can only go with, as much positivity as I can and hope things go to plan. But if they don't, things usually work out, or you go down another avenue and that works out. So I just think reminding yourself that the worst case probably won't happen, and even if it does, you will get through it, and you've got the strength to get through it. And sometimes positives come out of the things that go wrong. Like the other lovely subscriber says, don't let fear take over, because you don't want to look back on life and think, oh, I didn't do that in case that happened. I didn't enjoy that as much as I could because that could have, made me look silly. Because when you're older and you look back in your life, those things will seem so insignificant even if they do happen. And you'd rather look back and think that you embraced as much of life as possible. But if there are things that are really keeping you up at night, or things that you tend to dwell on, I would just get a notepad and write them out. Write your thoughts out. And sometimes I find that just kind of extracts them from the brain a bit. It stops them from going all the time. Anyone else? Tell Molly Louisa. So Van said, it would be nice if you can talk about PCD and how you can handle this. As I said to you, I think it was on Instagram, I don't know much about that, so I don't want to give you advice that's just coming out of nowhere, because it might be a load of crap. But I'd say, if with any illness, I feel like it's really important that you have people to talk to that really understand it, that really get it. And sometimes even the people that love you or the people that know you really, really well just won't get it because they're not in that situation. They haven't experienced those feelings, that pain, that particular problem. So they can only understand to a certain level. So I'd say one of the greatest things about the internet is the fact you can find like-minded people, people that are facing the same struggles as you. So go on Twitter and search for hashtags relating to your illness to see if you can find other people online that are talking about it and that understand. Go on Facebook and look for any support groups, look for websites that have forums, and you'll be able to get valuable information that way about, you know, the latest treatments, perhaps specialists that you can go and see, developments in research, and you might end up making some really good friends that you can meet up with and chat about this too, that will, you know, have their own experiences and be really empathetic to your situation. So that's what I would recommend. I'm going through the shittiest breakup. Broke up with my boyfriend 2 years, a little bit less than a month ago. He's already dating another girl and spending the last weeks together all day. Needless to say, my anxiety and depression are having a parade on my brain. Oh, I'm really sorry. It's so tough. I feel hopeless and barely leave my house. I don't have the energy to do anything. Been crying my eyes out the whole past month. She suffers with mild chronic fatigue syndrome and IBS too, and she feels like he's left her for someone healthier with more energy, and that he got tired of seeing her tired and he just wanted someone else. I don't know what to do. I just want all this pain to go away. Oh God, you've broken my heart. Oh, I've been there and it's horrible, and I don't want to tell you that you shouldn't be feeling pain and that you shouldn't be upset, because breakups are hard, and I think you've almost got to honour them. If it was an important relationship to you, it's okay to grieve. It's okay to not find it easy to get over. I feel it is something you've got to go through an emotional process with. I don't think you're ever going to be, oh, I'm fine, even if you want to be like positive and, you know, okay, and look at the you know, the advantages of the situation. The fact is, you've lost something that was important to you, and you feel bereft and you feel lacking in some way. And, you know, breakups often harm your confidence a bit and make you question yourself. So I just say, allow yourself to have those teary days, allow yourself to be upset. But then after a while, I think then you've got to say, okay, I'm not going to let this dictate how the rest of my year is going to go. I'm going to try and see my way out of it and see some positives. In terms of him leaving because you were too tired or not well enough, I think anyone that has a chronic illness, that's always the fear that the person will get fed up with it, or they think that you're boring, or, you know, whatever. But the fact is, if he's left for that reason, he's not worth being with, and there's plenty of other people that would stick with you throughout that would support you. I'm not saying it would be easy, because no relationship is, and it probably is hard to support someone with an illness, but if he was the right person for you, it would be worth it, and he would do it. In a way, just realise that this one wasn't meant to be, and it's good that you found out now, and not wasted any more time on it. You've probably had some lovely memories, so treasure those, but look forward to the future. Now, it's very hard to see it when they've moved on, but I know it's hard, but try not to, you know, follow what they're posting on Instagram, looking at their Facebook. If you need to, mute them on social media, maybe, I don't want to say unfollow, because I think that makes a big statement that maybe you don't want to make, but just don't be stalking their profiles, because it does you absolutely no good. I know when you're forced to be single and it's not exactly what you chose, it's hard to see the positives, but I made a video a few Valentines ago about the amazing things about being single, so go and check that out. But there really are some fabulous things about being single, so while you can, before a lovely person snaps you up, I want you to embrace this opportunity to, you know, be a bit selfish for a while, do things you want to do, be independent, enjoy being a free spirit for a bit, There really are some great things about being single, and please hang in there. Do some self-care, do some pampering, relax, or catch up with friends. Just make sure you're around people that are going to support you and make you feel loved, and realise that, you know, it's nothing that you did wrong, it just wasn't meant to be. Right, so they call me Nick. Lately I'm in a weird situation. I moved to the UK from Germany for a gap year a couple of months ago and worked here for a bit. Then I ended up losing my job, and now I have 2 months left, which is not enough to start a new job, and I just don't know what to do with myself. I don't want to waste any more time watching Netflix. Well, Madison actually took the words right out of my mouth, and she said you could do some volunteering, and that was something I was going to say, because not only will it be good for the soul, you're helping other people out, and you're keeping busy, and you're doing something really useful and putting out good energy into the world. You could also look into work experience, so email people and just say, look, I've got a couple weeks, I would love to keep busy, I'll work very hard for you, this is what I can offer, and see who gets back to you. Maybe you could go into a temp agency and just see if they've got a really short amount of work cover that needs being doing. Perhaps you could give yourself a really fun project to do, or like a challenge, something that you've maybe put off, or something that you think's a bit of a challenge for you, out of your comfort zone, something that will just make those 2 weeks feel like, you know, worthwhile and like you did something epic. Maybe it's just visiting somewhere in the UK you haven't been before. Perhaps it's catching up with friends that you always tend to put off. I definitely say the volunteering thing is a great shout, whether it's an environmental project, whether it's like a homeless shelter place or animal shelter. You know, there's so many different areas of charity you could offer your services. So just start emailing people and see what comes back. Victoria Ellen, hey, I'd love some advice on how to deal with being made redundant. I'm only 25 and it's not something that I thought I'd have to deal with at such a young age. The way it happened has not been particularly pleasant, and I've never known my emotions to be so up and down. I'm feeling constantly anxious and sick. Any advice would be amazing, thank you. I think when this happens, it's always a real shock to the system, because sometimes you are really blindsided by it. I think what's important is that you don't take it personally, because a lot of us will face redundancy or get shoved out in some sort of way. But I just think budgets are so tight these days, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not good at the job, or that you aren't skilled in the profession, or that, you know... Sorry, my parents are back and they're talking really loudly. I'd say give yourself a few days to relax and get used to what's happened and to deal with what's happened, because it can be a bit of a shock, and then put yourself into action. Be proactive. But I think before you start emailing other places for work and start applying for other jobs, really use this moment, this forced upon moment, to think about what you want to do career-wise. Were you happy in that job? Was that something you want to continue? Or could you use this opportunity to, you know, start on the path that you'd really like to be on, the thing that gets you excited? Or perhaps you might want to try something different, and that might end up being the best thing that's ever happened to you. I guess what I'm trying to say is, at the time when these things happen, they seem like the end of the world. They seem like the worst thing ever. But in my experience, every time something like this has happened, it's led me on a different path that has brought something brilliant, or a realisation, or a new person in my life. And you won't know what that is yet, probably, but at some point, when you map everything out, you'll realise that this was meant to happen for whatever reason, even if it has been really unpleasant. I don't know why it was particularly unpleasant, whether it was the way they went about it, or whether there was just some awkward words, you know, between you and the company or your boss, whatever. But just try and be the bigger person and move on, and don't let it affect your enthusiasm, positivity, because they've won and you want to show them that they shouldn't have let you go, that it is their loss. You want to show them how fabulous you are, and you are. Allow yourself a few days to make yourself feel good, pamper yourself, be around people that lift your spirits, and then decide what you want to do career-wise, and then be proactive, Vic. Just, you know, get cracking, get that CV out there, think outside the box maybe to get people's attention. You can do this, you got this. I'm not worried about you. You're going to be absolutely fine. So, oh, sorry guys, camera died. I don't know what I was saying, but contribute below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a video soon. Bye.